you ever looked at an ancient structure, artifact, or invention and asked yourself one simple question? How was this even possible? When we think about ancient civilizations, we often imagine people living simple lives, using primitive tools, and struggling just to survive. But the truth is far more fascinating. Across history, ancient civilizations created technologies, systems, and inventions so advanced that even modern scientists and historians are still amazed by them today. Some of these discoveries seem almost impossible for their time. They built structures aligned perfectly with the stars. They created mechanical devices centuries before modern engineering. They mastered water systems, medicine, astronomy, and architecture in ways that still leave us speechless. And perhaps the most surprising part is this. Some ancient technologies were so advanced, they feel as if they do not belong in the ancient world at all. In this video, we are going to explore some of the most incredible ancient technologies that should not have existed. And by the end, you may begin to wonder if the ancient world was far more intelligent than we have ever imagined. Let's begin. 1. The Great Pyramids of Egypt. Let's start with one of the greatest mysteries in human history. The Great Pyramids of Egypt. For thousands of years, these enormous stone structures have stood in the desert, defying time, weather, and explanation. The Great Pyramid of Giza was built more than 4,500 years ago. And yet, even today, people still debate how it was constructed. The pyramid is made of millions of limestone and granite blocks, some weighing several tons. The precision is extraordinary. Its alignment with the cardinal directions is so accurate that it rivals modern engineering standards. And its proportions have led some researchers to believe the builders had deep mathematical and astronomical knowledge. How did people without cranes, trucks, lasers, or modern machines build something so massive and so precise? There are many theories. Some suggest advanced ramp systems. Others believe large organized labor forces made it possible. And some more mysterious theories claim there may have been lost methods or knowledge we no longer understand. Whatever the truth is, one thing is certain. The Great Pyramid was not just a tomb. It was an engineering masterpiece. And even after thousands of years, it still refuses to give up all its secrets. 2. The Antikythera Mechanism. Now let's move to one of the most shocking discoveries ever found in the ancient world. In 1901, divers exploring a shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera found something extraordinary. At first, it looked like a corroded lump of bronze. But once researchers studied it more closely, they realized they had discovered something almost unbelievable. Inside this ancient object were gears, rotating mechanisms, and a level of mechanical complexity that no one expected from the ancient world. This object is now known as the Antikythera Mechanism, and many people call it the world's first analog computer. Yes, a computer. This device, built more than 2,000 years ago, was designed to track astronomical positions and predict events like eclipses. It could model the movement of celestial bodies with astonishing sophistication. And that raises a huge question. If ancient people were capable of building something this advanced, what else were they capable of? For centuries, historians believed that this level of gear-based mechanical engineering did not exist until much later in history. But the Antikythera mechanism completely changed that idea. It proved that ancient minds were capable of engineering brilliance far beyond what we once imagined. 3. Roman concrete. Now let's talk about something that sounds simple, eerie of the ancient world. Concrete. The Romans built roads, aqueducts. Harbah is actually one of the greatest engineering tours, temples, and massive public buildings that still stand today. And one reason for their incredible durability may be hidden in their concrete. Modern concrete often cracks and deteriorates over time. But Roman concrete has survived for nearly 2,000 years in some of the harshest environments imaginable. Especially in seawater. That is one of the strangest parts. Roman harbor structures exposed to saltwater have remained standing for centuries, while many modern materials fail much faster. Why? Because Roman concrete appears to become stronger over time under certain conditions. Researchers have studied its composition and found that the ancient Romans used volcanic ash and special mineral reactions to create a material that was incredibly durable. Think about that. An ancient civilization may have discovered a stronger, more resilient construction material than the one we use in many modern projects today. That is not just impressive. That is humbling. 4. The Baghdad Battery. Now we move to one of the most mysterious objects ever discovered in archaeology. The Baghdad Battery. This object was found near Baghdad, Iraq, and dates back roughly 2,000 years. It consists of a clay jar, a copper cylinder, and an iron rod. And when modern researchers looked at it, many asked the same shocking question: was this an ancient battery? If filled with a certain liquid, this object could potentially generate a small electric charge. That possibility has fascinated historians for decades. Could ancient people have understood basic electricity? Could they have used it for plating metals, rituals, or some unknown purpose? Not all scholars agree on its function. Some believe it may have had a non-electrical use. But the mystery remains, because if it really was used to generate electricity, the most astonishing ancient cities still stands. Petra. Built by the Nabateans, Petra is famous for its breadth. Then the ancient world may have experimented with scientific principles far earlier than we ever thought possible. And that changes the way we see history. 5. The water systems of Petra. Now let's head into the deserts of Jordan, where one of taking architecture carved directly into rock. But perhaps the most impressive thing about Petra was not just what people could see. It was what they could not see. Water engineering. The Nabateans built one of the most advanced water collection and distribution systems in the ancient world. And they did it in the middle of the desert. Think about how difficult that is. They created channels, dams, reservoirs, and cisterns to collect rainwater, prevent flooding, and store enough water to support life and trade. In one of the driest places on Earth, they made a city thrive. That is not luck, that is genius, and it reminds us that ancient technology was not always about machines and gears. Sometimes, the most advanced technologies were systems of survival. And the Nabateans mastered one of the most important systems of all: water. 6. The Nazca Lines. Now let's travel to Peru. There, etched into the desert floor, are some of the strangest and most mysterious ancient creations ever discovered. The Nazca Lines. These are enormous geoglyphs, giant drawings made on the ground, depicting animals, shapes, lines, and patterns. Some are hundreds of feet long. And what makes them so mysterious is this: you cannot fully appreciate many of them from the ground. They are best seen from above. Which leads to the obvious question: why would an ancient civilization create giant designs that seem made to be viewed from the sky? How did they plan and execute them with such scale and precision? The Nazca people created these designs centuries ago using simple tools and incredible planning. But their purpose remains uncertain. Were they ceremonial, astronomical, religious, messages for the gods, or something else entirely? The Nazca Lines are a perfect example of ancient intelligence creating something so strange and so deliberate that it still feels almost impossible today. 7. Ancient brain surgery. Now let's talk about something even more surprising: medicine. One of the most shocking ancient practices discovered by archaeologists is trepanation, a form of skull surgery. Yes, skull surgery. In many ancient cultures around the world, people drilled or cut holes into the skull for medical or ritual reasons. And as terrifying as that sounds, the most astonishing part is this: many patients survived. How do we know? Because archaeologists have found skulls showing clear signs of healing after the procedure. That means ancient surgeons were not only performing incredibly dangerous operations, they were doing them successfully enough for patients to recover. This raises major questions about ancient medical knowledge. How did they control pain? How did they prevent infection? How did they understand enough anatomy to attempt such procedures? The ancient world was not just building monuments. It was also experimenting with the human body in ways that seem shockingly advanced. 8. Machu Picchu and precision stonework. Now let's move to the mountains of Peru. High above the clouds stands one of the most breathtaking ancient sites in the world: Machu Picchu. Built by the Inca, this city remains one of history's greatest engineering achievements. The stonework is extraordinary. Huge blocks of stone were cut and fitted together so perfectly that in some places you cannot even fit a knife blade between them. And perhaps the most incredible part is this: no mortar was needed. The stones fit so precisely that the structures have survived earthquakes and centuries of exposure. How did they do this without modern cutting machines, power tools, or industrial equipment? That is the mystery. The Inca also built roads, terraces, and mountain infrastructure that show a deep understanding of engineering and landscape design. Their work was not only beautiful, it was highly functional, and it reminds us once again that ancient civilizations were not primitive. They were problem solvers, masters of design, builders of impossible things. Conclusion. When we look at these ancient technologies, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. The ancient world was far more advanced than most people realize. These were not people blindly stumbling through history. These were engineers, astronomers, architects, doctors, inventors, thinkers. They studied the stars, they shaped mountains, they built in deserts, they healed the human body, and they created wonders that still challenge our understanding today. Maybe the greatest mistake we make is assuming that intelligence only belongs to the modern world. Because when we look closely at history, we do not just see the past. We see evidence of brilliance. Brilliance that has survived thousands of years. And perhaps somewhere out there, buried under sand, hidden in ruins, or resting at the bottom of the sea, there are still ancient technologies waiting to be discovered. And when they are found, history may have to be rewritten. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more mysteries from the ancient world. Because the past is not as simple as it seems, and some of its greatest secrets are still waiting to be uncovered.